I'm talking with James Yates, who's based in Australia but works globally. He's a speaker, a mentor, a human performance and leadership uh, entity. He's one of these people with his wife, Chantal Rose, who's really stirring up a lot of people right now, perhaps at a time when the world most needs it. James, thank you for joining us. What do you see folk are looking for right now?
It's a great question to start with, Scott. It's great to be with you as well. I really appreciate it. And look, people are looking for often permission to be themselves. And I feel that there are so many people in the world right now that have woken up to this inner gut feeling that we have, where it's finally sort of coming of age, where we say, hang on a sec, the way I've been living hasn't been congruent with my values and the way that I believe. And I think it's about time to do something about it. And we're just seeing so many people at the moment in that position. And I feel that now is the perfect time to be helping those people to almost provide just a space to allow them to find their own inner truth. Although they already know what it is, they're finally able to live it because they're seeing other people do that as well. So I think it's an important time in humanity for us all.
You talk about values and you talk about the values equating to inner truth. It's interesting because I'm writing at the moment about how human values have been hijacked, and we're now actually getting the message to bring them back to ourselves and exercise our right. What does it look like, though? What does it look like on a daily basis? This whole business of finding yourself and really learning that genuine, authentic nature that is the human being again.
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. And I always go back to there's the person you've been born to be and there's the person you've been taught to be, right? And so often with that quote, I mean, there's the feeling of things, working for us based on ease and flow. And there are feelings of things where it feels like you're really forcing things to happen. And hey, people can be successful both ways, but I don't believe people can sustain success if they're constantly forcing things to happen. And I feel that up until now, especially for the last, 100+ years, but especially in the last 100+ years, because of, the industrial age coming in and people sort of being, as you say, hijacked in all different capacities. I feel like some people have really got to the stage where it's a matter of saying, look, I know what feels right. I know what doesn't feel right. And so what a daily, sort of method of operation looks like from my perspective, it's about doing the things that feel right first, right? So doing the things that give us most energy, waking up, eating well, waking up and surrounding ourselves with good people that bring out the best in us. I often feel that, for my career, a lot of, 15+ years, I was living somebody else's journey. I was doing what I was taught to do, but it wasn't really who I was. And it wasn't until I got to the stage by saying, hang on a sec, all of these stresses that I have in my life don't actually have to be there. That everything started to change. So the daily thing for me is about doing the basic. It's getting back to nature. It's about eating food that is a living living food. It's about getting around people that have similar values. And when I talk about values, I'm talking about and again going back to the gut feeling. When something doesn't feel right, and you do it anyway, and you then pay the consequences later. It happens to us all the time, right? So for me, it's about finding people that when you're in their surroundings, that you are lit up rather than pushed down. And it's about following that kind of methodology rather than trying to have a simple process, based on the modern world, which is, this time I'm going to be doing this and that time I'm going to be doing that. For me, it's about trying to get into a space where you can trust your own instincts and do the things that make us feel best.
I want to pose a question here because it's one that a lot of people in leadership or human potential pose, and they say, set goals. And then I'm beginning to hear, no, it's not necessarily about goals at the moment. Is it about how you feel today and you using a foundation of these values you speak about to get through today so that tomorrow is just genuinely and quite comfortably going to be easier?
Yeah, look, I always say that goals is having goals are like setting the GPS initially, right? So they give us a direction, and sometimes it is about having something to go and strive after. But whilst you're moving, at least moving forwards, and we know, look, we're either growing or we're dying, and it's the same concept with we're either moving or we're going backwards. There's really no stagnation in life. It's one or the other. And so for me, it's about really identifying that there are other things that can have a bigger role to play and can do better things than setting just goals on their own. And so what I mean by that is, purpose, finding meaning in everything that you do, passion, doing things that light you up and make your soul feel alive so that you are in a position where you can make better decisions, presence, being in the moment so that, again, you're able to analyze both internally and externally the sort of situations and surroundings without, creating a reaction to a situation and being more proactive. And then influence happens as a result of being in that space where we naturally start to find ourselves and we start to share our own message. So I always have this concept of purpose, passion, presence, and influence. And once you are living with those four elements in play, then setting a goal that is congruent to those areas is very, very healthy still, because it's still something to strive towards and move towards. But if we're setting goals for the sake of a motivational speaker telling us that you've got to have 12, 5, 3 month, whatever the goals, that are there, I feel that a lot of people start to feel really, that they slow themselves down. They feel tight in both their stomach, but also they feel tight in the way that they sometimes feel like they're doing something because they have to rather than because they want to. So for me, it all goes back to the first point, which is, finding meaning in what you do. If you don't find meaning in what you do, then why are you doing it? And don't go and set goals just because you have to as well.
A lot of people that I'm coming across at the moment talk about, it's quite profound actually, why am I here? Number of people actually sort of almost dreading the fact that they're going to wake up again the next day because they've got to face human life as it is at the moment. You're finding that there are people teetering on the edge, and that your work basically is to help them basically sort of come back a little bit. You talk about passion. That's one thing, but for some people, if their health's not good, passion's really, really hard to really connect with. How do you go about that?
Yeah, look, for me, it's all about creating an internal and an external environment that helps people to then make the best decisions for themselves. And so, if someone's not passionate about stuff, like I always, people say to me, look, I'm not making the money I want to be making, or I'm not, achieving these kind of goals, or I'm not happy. I just look at what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And it's really interesting to start to look, there's a real common theme between people that aren't living a fulfilled life and people that are. And it comes back down to, the first question I will always ask any person is, so literally, how do you start your day? What are you doing first thing in the morning? Because what we're finding is 86% of people are reaching for their phone first thing in the morning. And when they reach for their phone, they're playing into a reaction mode rather than taking control of their lives. And just a little bit on that, we all know the four main happy hormones, dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, and oxytocin. Well, the dopamine addiction, or the dopamine fueled addiction to our phones is quite scary right now, because what's happening is once we reach for our phones, our stress hormone cortisol starts to raise, because we start getting the emails through, we start seeing all of these other things come through. And now again, what we're doing is, the reason that we're reacting in a negative light to so many situations in our lives right now is because we're not in control of our lives, full stop, because of that device. And so simply helping people get passion back in their lives is helping people to take control of their lives the moment they open their eyes. Get outside. Get into nature, get your feet moving, right? Get the lymphatic system working from sweating, like all the really obvious things. It's really interesting. And so, I have some clients that I work with in business that are, high performers. These guys go out and they strive to go after all the big, lots of money. But the question they often ask is, well, how do I get better? And I say, literally master that first 2 to 3 hours in the morning, so that you're not in reaction mode, so that you can find a space where that you can create the passion, because you now know what you love, just because you've taken time to breathe. So these kind of conversations are really important to me, more than any of the other stuff at the moment, because what you are seeing is that most people, and this is a scary stat, over 50% of people that wake up next to their spouse speak to their phone, as in reach for their phone, before they even say good morning to the spouse lying next to them.
Wow.
So you can hear, we're in this really mismatched world right now where people are just unsure who they are, only because they haven't given themselves 5 minutes to sit with themselves in silence. It's all being based on what's going on in front of them. So they're reacting. And, we always talk about, event plus response equals outcome. Most people are responding to the event with a stress-based response. So now they're pushing themselves down into, into situations where they're definitely not happy because they're just not doing anything that lights them up.
Isn't that bizarre? Talking about this whole phone business, you see it now in society. You just go out the street, people waiting for coffees, whatever. The remarkable thing is that they are sitting there on their phones, and how is communication with another person a part of what you're talking about in terms of actually getting that reflection? How important is that to actually reflect with another human being?
Yeah, really important. So communication's vital, but how we communicate is even more vital right now. So, face-to-face, belly-to-belly interaction is really, really important. You're better off to have a call on Zoom like this and turn away from the computer than you are just to be staring at this blue light concept all the time as well. But in person, as you say, people are sitting next to each other, and all they're doing with the phone concept, they're hiding from the reality of what's going on. It's a little bit like, we often eat to suppress emotions. Well, we also now turn to our phone to suppress emotions as well. So having real conversations with real people are really important to not only bring up what's happening inside us, but also to inspire us to do greater things as well. To provide a space to do that is a whole nother conversation though, because most coffee shops and most cafes or whatever the environment is has technology. So it becomes a discipline, personal discipline, to be able to put it away and keep it away. And that's really important. And actually having a young son, what we've found at home, it really begins here, because if you're able to provide a space where it is, hey, listen, guys, we're not going to have our phone on in this house. But the moment that we go out, we can check everything. What that does is it allows us to spend more time focusing on the things that light us up as a family. And that fuels and duplicates through the lines as well, whether it's the kids or the grandparents or whatever it is. So you can create a very positive difference very quickly. But if you're not aware of it, then when you go out and have the coffee and sit on the phone, you're not going to know that that's what you're doing either. So it's starting off by analyzing, what are you currently doing right now in terms of your general routines, and then making sure you surround people with really meaningful conversations thereafter.
I will stop and talk to 2 or 3 people today who are actually strangers. Gentleman got out of a fancy car recently, and I said, look, I just come back from Scotland. I saw a whole lot of these, and they were zooming down through the glens and what have you. And we talked a little bit about touring and stuff like that. And I just acknowledged basically that the choice that he had made to actually purchase this very fancy car was cool. He was an older guy, but we had a lovely exchange, for a few moments. I do that anyway, because I'm a gregarious person. James, a message for humanity. Let's really focus on basically something that your minute can give them that will actually could be mind changing, could be heart changing, could be life changing. What would it be?
Yeah, it's really about the first thing I go back to is identify a time every single day that you can take some space to just be with yourself, to be in your own thoughts, to be breathing through that. We call it mindfulness, meditation, whatever you'd like. But for me, it's really important that you take time to breathe. When you breathe, what you're going to start to do is identify, what is most important to you in not only this moment, but also in terms of going back to that value piece. By starting your day and doing these kind of things up front, what that's going to allow you to do is to create a life of a lot of abundance, because you're doing what feels right based on knowing what is right for you. If we don't do that, naturally, we're going to continue to react and continue to respond to what society is throwing at us every single day. Beyond that, just remember that you have greatness in you. All the answers are there, and you will find them when you take enough time to be on your own as well. It's not that you need to be on your own and feel lonely. That's a very, very different scenario. This is talking about taking time to literally identify you. And I think the more people that do that, the greater we're going to raise our consciousness, and our awareness around what is going on. And the greater we're going to be able to find our own message within that as well. I feel like we all have a big role to play here, and it's about you finding what that role is by spending enough time in your own space to do that as well.
Mm. How do you impart your knowledge and wisdom to people? What do? Do you run workshops or seminars?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, look, I do all of that. We run workshops, we run seminars, we run retreats, and we have an online platform as well that allows us to share that wisdom and that message. For me, it's about how do you provide the space rather than telling people what to do. So everything that we do is quite congruent to that. It's about inviting people into, whether it was a retreat or a workshop with hundreds of people. For me, the two environments are very, very different, but they provide the same kind of feel, which is I feel I can be myself in that environment. And when we provide that, that's the first point in terms of what I was just mentioning around the, that 1 minute or 5 minutes of silence every day with yourself. That's going to allow you to start to find those answers. So for me, it's all about providing opportunities for people to be able to connect and grow with themselves.
Where can folks find out more information about your offerings?
So our retreats are reigniteretreat.com. You'll see a variety of retreats that we have to offer there. You can also check out reignitelife.com, which is our online platform that's launching very soon. And in the meantime, you can be kept up to date with any updates that's coming out on there as well.
James Yates, thank you so much indeed for your time today. I love hearing your words. They're so pragmatic, so practical, so fresh. And look forward to talking to you again in the future. And maybe there's some more information we can pull together with regard to retreats and other things in the months to come. But right now, the very best of strength and empowerment. I'm not going to say luck, because you don't need luck. You're in the ease and grace knowing space. But all the very best with everything you're working on. And I look forward to talking to you again. So once again, thank you for being with us.
No, I really appreciate it, Scott. And thanks for everything you're doing. I mean, you're making a huge difference in the world, and all of your work has been inspiring a lot of people that I know that are in our networks as well. So keep up the great work.
Okay, thank you so much indeed.
Thanks, Scott.